Hi everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. In today's video, we will be drawing this strawberry cake drawing. We'll actually do all of our kind of like shapes and colors first, and then we'll add our lines, and then we'll add our shadows and highlights and the little swooshy thing in the background that really brings it all together and makes it look complete. A pretty simple one today. Don't be intimidated by the lines, they're really easy and very good to kind of just practice with. So if you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. I also offer extra tutorials over on Patreon, so if you support me over there, you'll get access to exclusive tutorials every month, along with sneak peeks to what we're drawing over here on YouTube. So that is linked in the description below if you'd like to check that out. But before we get started on today's video, the only thing that you need to do is download the color palette. I have that linked in the description below. It's totally free to download. Just save the file that downloads to your iPad and then either double tap it or click on it and click open in Procreate, and it will automatically pop into Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. Otherwise, we use all standard brushes and stuff, so nothing else to download. I will post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed on the screen and in the description below so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we'll get started. Okay, here is the color palette that we'll be working with today. So let's just go ahead and get started. We're going to jump right in and set our background color. So to do that, we'll go to our layer menu, click on this background color layer and set it to the first color on the first row of the color palette to fill it in with that color. Then we will go ahead and just be on layer 1 on our layer menu, and we'll start by making our plate. So we will grab our second color on the top row, grab our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. My settings for the brush, my opacity is at 100. Let's do our size at maybe 30. And we're just going to make a nice horizontal oval to start. So we are just going to draw around, make a nice flat oval, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, and then touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly horizontal, so it should snap to that angle there. If it snaps to a circle, you just drew it too close to a circle shape, so that's what it thinks you're trying to do. So just redraw it more oval-like. Set a good size, we can resize it here in a second, but just any size will do for now, and then go ahead and fill that in. Let's grab it with our arrow tool on freeform, and then we can either increase it like the width from top to bottom or the width from left to right. We want a good size oval, not too skinny because we do want like a good amount of room for our cake, but maybe something about like this, not too big widthwise either. And then most importantly, let's turn on snapping in the bottom left and let's center it on our screen from left to right. So we'll drag it around until we see this vertical yellow line, and that is centered from left to right. So then I'm going to drag it down on the vertical line a little bit so that we're a little under halfway on our screen, about like this. Okay, layer menu, let's make a duplicate of this layer to make our plate like 3D. So slide to the left and hit duplicate, grab the bottom one. Let's first grab our third color on the top row and drag and drop to fill it in. We won't see it fill in because it's underneath this layer, but if we grab it with our arrow tool and move it straight down on that yellow line, we should see it pop out there at the bottom. So that is like the thickness of our plate, so drag it down a little bit there. And then we're on our same color, we're on our same monoline brush, and we're just going to connect it on the sides. So I'm going to zoom in on the left side here and we're on this lower layer here. I'm just going to draw a line up to kind of fill that little gap there. I held it down, but you don't need to if you don't want to. Whatever works, just to kind of fill that gap there. Okay, so that's the start of our plate. Now we just need the little oval inside as well. So to do that, we'll go to our layer menu. We'll make another duplicate of our top oval again. So slide to the left on that one and hit duplicate. Be on the top one this time. Grab our fourth color on the top row. It's kind of in between these first two colors that we used. And drag and drop that to fill that in. Arrow tool on freeform. Let's go ahead and downsize it quite a bit all the way around and then recenter it on our center yellow line. And then we'll see a blue line pop up that shows that it's centered with this white oval. So we want it centered on both. So I'm going to drag it down a little bit more. Something about like this. is good. So this is where our piece of cake will sit. Okay, now we'll just get straight into drawing our cake. So I'm going to go to my layer menu and add a new layer at the very top. I'm going to grab my first cake color, the first one on the second row, and our same monoline brush. And let's first draw like a perfectly kind of straight cake shape, and then we'll kind of make it like a little wavier and stuff. And to do that, we're going to turn on symmetry. So let's go to our gear icon. Under canvas, let's turn on the drawing guide and then click edit drawing guide, set it to symmetry here. Make sure you see a vertical line here. If you don't, you can click on vertical under the options here and then go ahead and click done. And then on our layer menu, this new layer that we're on should say assisted. If it doesn't, just click on it and turn on drawing assist. Okay, and I'm just going to start on the right side here, right towards the edge of this inner oval that we created. Not all the way to the edge, just in a little bit from that. Draw a good vertical line. It'll mirror on the other side. So draw a line, hold it down, touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly vertical. Up a good ways, we can still resize this when we're done, but maybe something about like this. And then let's connect it at the top and the bottom. So from this point, I'm going to draw to the middle, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. Click this line button at the top if you need to move it around to just make sure that corner lines up nicely. Okay, same thing across the bottom now. Hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. Let's go ahead and fill that whole shape in. And that is the start of our cake slice. So like I said, now we're going to kind of make it a little wavier and stuff and maybe even change the size or shape of it. So let's go to our layer menu and click on this layer and turn drawing assist off. In fact, we probably won't use drawing assist at all anymore. So I'm just going to go to my gear icon and turn off the drawing guide. Okay, now with this rectangle here, let's grab it with our arrow tool on freeform. If you need to resize it at all, it should be a little wider than it is tall, but pretty close, like pretty close to a square, not like super small like this, but you know, whatever works for you. In your picture, I'm going to go with something about like this. It should be centered, so don't move it around. Just change the size of it. If you need to widen it, though, you'll have to recenter it on that yellow line. So if that's something you need to do, go ahead and do so. Again, same layer, same brush, same color, and we're just going to kind of rough up the edges now. So I'm going to start on this left edge and just start at the top and just kind of make it a little bit wavier and stuff so it's not so perfect. I'll do the same thing across the top here. Even though like we'll probably end up just putting our frosting over this, I still just want to kind of rough it up just in case. Same thing across the bottom. Nothing too crazy, but we just don't want it to be a perfectly straight line. So I'll do every side, and then we can move on. Now let's go ahead and add our cake texture to this. So click on this layer on our layer menu and turn on alpha lock. And then on our color palette, we have a lighter and darker version of this color. So let's grab the lighter one first, second one in the second row, and grab our flicks brush under the spray paints category. Let's set the opacity of the brush down to like 70, size at like 25 or so. And I'm just going to drag this around kind of lightly, get a little bit of texture started there with that lighter color. And then once we get that all kind of covered, we'll go in with our third color on the second row, same thing. Just kind of add a little bit of this darker color throughout as well. So that gives us some nice good cake texture. If you get too much, you can even go back in with your base color and kind of like go over it to just kind of lessen the effect of it. But we just want some good texture going on. Okay, now we'll go ahead and add our middle frosting pieces. So on our layer menu, let's add a new layer right above this one. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Okay, then we'll start with our first frosting color, this fourth one on the second row. Go back to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab, same settings as before, 100% opacity, 30% size. And again, we'll just kind of do what we did before. We're going to start like about a third of the way down and make a straight horizontal line, and then we'll rough it up. So straight horizontal line, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. Go a little bit below that, draw another one, touch your finger to the screen. Connect it on the sides because we're on a clipping mask here, so it's a new layer, so we have to connect this shape so that we can fill it in. Okay, it's a little thick and a little lower than I would like it to be. So I'm going to grab with my arrow tool on freeform. I'm just going to skinny it up a smidge, maybe move it up a smidge. And then on our layer menu, let's just make a duplicate of this layer. So slide to left and hit duplicate for the other one. Arrow tool, and let's drag that down. We don't need to center it or anything. It needs to be going off the edge on each side. Okay, but again, like I'm just going to kind of mess around with them till they look kind of more even. So space them out evenly like so. And then on our layer menu, once they're spaced out nicely, we can go ahead and snap those together onto one layer there, still clipped to our cake piece. Okay, and then again, we're going to kind of rough it up a little bit. So we're on our frosting layer here, same monoline brush, and on the top and bottom, I'm just going to kind of make it a little wavier on each one. If yours feel too thick, you can go in with your eraser on the monoline brush and do the same thing. But look at some good frosting. So something like that. Now we'll make our next frosting layer. So that's going to be our top and side frosting. So on our layer menu, let's add a new layer. Don't set it to a clipping mask this time. And we will just kind of do a similar thing. So let's first start on the top here, kind of right where the top of our cake is. And let's just make a straight horizontal line. Hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. Just connect it from side to side. If it's going off on the sides a little bit, that's okay. Just make sure that it's covering the top of our cake and there's no gap there. And even if there's a little gap, that's okay. We'll come back through and rough it up again. So we can always cover that, but there shouldn't be a huge gap. So that looks good. And then I'm going to go down the side, kind of same thing, a vertical line. Hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. Okay, then we're going to kind of make this a little thicker. So I'm going to go over on the bottom here. It might be kind of hard to see with this color right now. But over on the bottom, just make it a straight horizontal line. Touch your finger to the screen if that's helpful. And then we'll go up from that point, up a little higher than our corner here that we created before. Straight vertical line, so touch your finger to the screen. Okay, then we'll go from this point over to the other side on top of our other line over there. A horizontal line again, so touch your finger to the screen. And then connect this at the front. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then fill that in. So that's the start of our other frosting area. So again, let's rough that up. So I'm going to do the left side of this vertical piece here. Do the right side of it as well. Okay, I'll do the underside here. And then the top won't matter as much because we're going to make the rest of it now. So now we're going to kind of make the triangular part on the top. So I'm going to start on this top left corner, go out at an angle kind of like this, hold it down until it turns perfectly straight, nothing too sharp. And then we're going to go, again, not straight up from this corner, but in a little bit so that we make another angle right here to connect it to. So maybe about like this, and then I'll connect this to this, and then fill that in. Kind of rough that up again. So kind of same thing, make that a little wavier. Make this a little wavier. Okay, and then now we're going to just change the color of part of this top area to be a little bit lighter so that we can see like the dimension from the top to the front. So on our layer menu, let's add a new layer. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Grab our lighter color now, fifth one on the second row, slightly lighter than the one that we were just on. And we're essentially going to start right on this top corner here and make it kind of like a wavy line going off that corner there. If you need to do a straight line first and then rough it up, go ahead and do so, but I think it was easy enough to just go from one corner to the other, leaving that kind of slightly darker piece below it. And then we're going to create a shape to fill in. So I'm going to go from this end all the way around this top portion to the other end to connect a shape and fill that in. Okay, if you need to fix that up at all, go ahead and do so with your eraser tool or your brush tool again. Otherwise, that looks good. I might do the slightest bit of erasing here on the front side there, just to thicken that up a little bit. Okay, And then once that's done, let's go ahead and snap that clipping mask to our other layer so that's all one layer, that top and side frosting piece. Now we're going to make the little kind of frosting across the top edge. So let's add a new layer. We're going to go back to our fourth color on the second row, same monoline brush. And so yeah, we're going to make like a little kind of fluffy frosting piece across the top here. So I'm just going to start above this top corner here, and I'm just going to kind of start and make kind of like a wavy little piece, come back up, make a wavy little piece till it connects. And so it should kind of like mirror this, whatever angle you have here. So this one kind of matches that angle, this one kind of matches that angle, and then we'll fill that in. So it should look something like this. It doesn't have to be too crazy or perfect, but just something kind of fun. Okay, moving right along, we can go ahead and make our strawberry kind of drizzle, and then we can make our strawberries. And then we really just have to add the shadows and highlights and our black lines and our background piece. So nothing too crazy today. So let's keep on going. I hope that you like the way yours is looking so far. So let's go ahead and on our layer menu, let's add a new layer in between these two layers. So above our kind of triangular frosting piece, but below our little swooshy piece that we just made. And we'll grab our first red color on the last row. Okay, so this is going to be the start of our strawberry kind of drizzle. So I am going to start it maybe just right underneath. It's going to kind of fall underneath this piece here. So I'm just going to kind of start maybe right here and kind of go like this. Kind of like frame this kind of front piece real wavy. Connect it and fill it in. So that's kind of the start. And then we'll have some falling off. So maybe like right about here, I'll actually just kind of curve down, wavy, maybe not that wavy, but a little bit wavy till we get to the bottom here, below our cake. And then we'll kind of have it pool on the plate a little bit. So then I'm going to kind of just have it kind of pool right there. And then kind of come back up, connect to our original piece there, however that works. Fill that in, smooth it out or touch it up or anything if you need to. Again, feel free to use your pen or your eraser tool, whichever one works. Okay, so that's my first little drizzle coming down, and then we might have one kind of coming down a little more here, but maybe not go all the way. So maybe it'll kind of stop there. Fill that in. So yeah, when it comes down, it should kind of curve into these pieces here. Something like that. Okay, and then we might just have a little bit more on the plate as well. So I might just have like another little droplet kind of right here. Fill that in. Maybe another like tiny one here. Something like that. And then lastly, I might just have it kind of like settle in these lines on the top. So right where it crosses a frosting line, I'm going to just kind of curve and then go kind of straight across the top there like this to kind of show that it's like settling there a little bit, kind of seeping in. So just on the top part of it, so, you know, not here or anything, but since this one crosses two, I'll do it to the next one also. Maybe kind of varying my line length a little bit. Something kind of like that, just to show that it's kind of seeping in there. Now we can go ahead and add our strawberries. And let's go ahead and do that just above our drizzle layer. New layer there. Grab our next red color, second one on the bottom row, same monoline brush. And let's draw a few strawberries. So I'll draw one on the top here first. So just a typical strawberry shape. So a little bit longer than it is like tall. So I'll just kind of start at the what's going to be the bottom here. And I'm just going to kind of round that, round it at the top, round it back. Boom. Fill that in. Very simple strawberry shape there. Touch it up if you need to, but I think that looks good. Maybe a little big, I can grab with my arrow tool on freeform or uniform. I can change the size, I can change the rotation, I can move it. So I'm going to place it right there, kind of in the center of the top. Same layer, we'll just make our next one. So I'm going to make it down here. So the base will be like maybe right here. Touch that up. Fill it all in. Awesome. And if one of these ends up like too big, you can still change it. So you can grab it with your selection tool on freehand. You can select around it, grab it with your arrow tool, and then you can rotate it and move it and change the size and stuff. Okay, I'll maybe do one more on the other side here. So maybe like, kind of like this. Fill that in. Awesome, same thing. Select it to change it if I need to. I might just make it a little bit smaller there. Otherwise, I think those look good. Now let's go ahead and add our dots to them. So on our layer menu, let's just click on this layer and turn on alpha lock. Grab our third color on the bottom row. Same monoline brush. We'll even keep our size at 30%, and I'm just going to tap around on these to make some dots to be our little strawberry seeds or our strawberry texture. If any of them like go off the edge, that's fine too. That's why we turned alpha lock on. So it should look something like this now, and now we need our leaves. So then on our layer menu, let's actually drag our strawberries above our top like little frosting layer that we have, just in case our leaves need to go above it. So then our leaves are going to go underneath our strawberry layer, but still above this little frosting layer. So then we'll grab our green color, fourth one on the bottom row, and we'll make our leaves. So I'm just going to start on each strawberry, and coming from the top, I'm just going to go like this, 4 or 5 times or whatever, and then fill each of those in either with your brush or by dragging and dropping. Beautiful. Next one. So just always come back to that same point. Fill those in. Next one. Okay. So those are my strawberries now. Next up, we're actually going to do our black lines, and then we can go ahead and make our shadows after that, our shadows and our highlights. And then we'll just kind of finish off the background. So we're almost done here. Let's go ahead and add a layer to the very top of everything and grab our black color, last one on the last row, 9th in line. Same monoline brush, but let's lower our size to like 5%, but you can use whatever size works for you. I think 5% is good. So we're just going to outline everything really loosely, and let's just go ahead and like start with our sauce. So, you know, our sauce, if we were to outline the whole thing, it would kind of go through this strawberry. We're not going to do that. We're going to just outline what we can see. So right where that strawberry is, I'm going to start right next to that and just kind of follow that there. Again, pretty loosely. I'll take like a little break and then I'll kind of do the next little section. We don't want it to look super messy, but we don't want it to look like extremely perfect. We're not outlining everything like exactly. So yeah, so I'll just kind of keep on going in little sections. We can make like a few like dots or something like that to help break it up. So yeah, so we're outlining everything that we can see for the most part, but just not perfectly. But yeah, so take some breaks, tilt your canvas, try to do some pretty smooth, quick lines. That's how you get them to be nice and smooth. You just got to go pretty quick. So if you mess something up, just kind of redo it. Okay, so I'll keep on going on my sauce. Okay, until we get to like where this frosting piece now is like on top of our sauce. So I won't follow this part yet. I'm gonna kind of like wait till we get to this frosting part to do that. So let's just keep on going with the rest of our cake and stuff. So I'm gonna start over here. So kind of right where this triangle piece is, I'll kind of follow that. I'll follow this frosting piece until we run into our sauce. Kind of follow the front of it. Again, very loosely, it does not have to be perfect. And then same thing like the front of the cake, we can kind of follow. Then our frosting again. Cake, frosting. Okay, and then same thing, this one's covered by the strawberry, so I'll take like a break there, but then I'll pick it up down here again till we run into something or almost run into something. So yeah, we're not having our lines connect or anything, but just, kind of whatever happens there. So like here, I'll probably go and leave a gap there for that sauce piece down there. Okay, that's looking good. Let's see what else we can do. Maybe under the sauce here, if there's any part where like it's kind of hard to see, but where our lighter color turns into our slightly darker color there, we can kind of like touch that with our line as well, just to kind of show there that that's different. And then when we come over here, we can kind of do the same thing. Follow this right side. Okay. Now let's go ahead and follow our little other frosting piece up here. Wherever we can so it's not running into stuff. Okay, and then through our frosting piece, we're actually also going to add a few details. So we're going to kind of just make some little kind of wavy lines kind of going in these directions just to kind of show some of like the movement of our frosting, something like that. Then let's go ahead and do our first strawberry here. So same thing, we'll do like the red part all the way around, leaving some kind of gaps and stuff. And then we'll do our leaves. Okay, let's see. I think we'll just do our other two strawberries now as well, the ones down here. Get those done. Okay, and then lastly, I have my, or not lastly, but almost lastly, I have these little pieces of sauce down here. This one I can barely see, but I can see a little bit of it to follow. So something kind of like that. And then very lastly is our plate. So again, I will just do what I can kind of see that's not intersecting with anything. And again, very just kind of quick and smooth lines to really follow it, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So just do what you can. Again, like changing the angle really helps for me, so do that if you need to. Okay, then kind of like a vertical line on the sides, then we'll kind of pick back up the curve again. Make it a little different from the top one. Verticalish line. And then connect with this. Okay, and then lastly with our black line, we're going to make a few quick black dots in the cake just to add a few little bit more details. So I'm just going to go through and just make a few little tiny dots here throughout. Not a ton, not nearly as many as we have like of our other colors, but just kind of here and there to just add some more of that cake texture throughout, making sure to really just get a good dot and not ever dragging your pen too much. Okay, so something like that. Okay, I also forgot we have this little line in here that like is our inner plate piece. We can kind of follow that too if you can see it. If not, you know, it's just if it's really just too covered up, we can just kind of leave that alone. And I mean, I don't know, we might even just delete that whole layer because I kind of covered it all up. So whatever you think works, or we can just leave it as a slight little shadow under there, but I don't really see enough of the line to really follow much of it, so I'm probably just going to leave it just as kind of a little shadow in there. So if you see a good amount of the distinction between these two ovals, go ahead and follow it, but if not, just leave it alone. I kind of feel similarly about this little piece of sauce here that's kind of covered up by the strawberry. I would even consider just erasing this and erasing that little bit of sauce there, just because it just kind of, I feel like, messes it up more so than anything. So feel free to make any adjustments like that. But otherwise, that is it for our black lines. So next up is a few shadows, and then we'll finish up the background, and then we'll be done. So we just need kind of shadows for everything next. So on our layer menu, we're just going to make a few different shadows depending on where they are. Let's go ahead and do our cake first. So let's add a layer right above our cake layer. It'll clip itself automatically underneath this frosting layer that we have. Click the N on this layer and set it to multiply. Grab our 7th color on the bottom row. And for the brush, we're going to use the round brush under the painting category. I feel like that gives a good shadow without it being too perfect. It gets kind of, we get like a little variation and stuff. I have the opacity at 100, size at 10. And we're just going to go here and we'll create a shadow just underneath each like layer of frosting. So we'll kind of go like right here. And again, see we get like kind of a good variety of color, you know, and then we'll kind of go on the side as well a little bit. So same thing, next frosting layer, a little bit down the side. Frosting, a little bit down the side. Okay, so that's our frosting shadow. So feel free to touch that up as much as you would like. And then we'll move on. So now we'll also add a layer of shadow underneath our cake and our strawberries and our sauce and stuff. Let's go ahead and snap our 3 plate layers together. We could have did that earlier, but we didn't. So let's go ahead and do that now. Snap those 3 ovals together. Add a layer above it. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask and click the N and set it to multiply. And then we'll switch our color to the 6th one on the bottom row. And we will go ahead and go underneath our strawberries, underneath our cake, underneath our sauce a little bit. If you need to change the size of the brush, go ahead and do so. Our other strawberry here. Pretty basic little shadows, like so. And then that's it for that layer. Okay, we'll do 2 more. We'll do one under our sauce and then one under our strawberry and frosting. So the one under our sauce we're going to do on top of this triangle frosting layer. Add a layer above that. Click on it, set it to a clipping mask. Click the N and set it to multiply. We're going to use the same color that we're on right now. And we're going to do the same thing just right underneath like these little pieces here. Just like the horizontal pieces at the top, we don't need to add shadows like under, like next to these necessarily, but just underneath those top pieces there. Layer menu. Last shadow layer is going to be above our sauce. So add a layer above our sauce, clipping mask, multiply again, and we'll use a slightly darker color. The 5th one on the bottom row, we'll switch to that. And we'll again go around the bottom of our strawberry. And then around our frosting a little bit as well. Okay, so then that's it for all of our shadows. So then lastly, we need to make a highlight, and then we will move on to our background. So the highlight's going to be above everything. So let's just add it above our strawberries. click on the N on this layer and set it to overlay. We're not clipping it to anything, we're just floating free in the air here. And we're gonna grab this 8th color on the bottom row, the lightest one here next to our black, to be our highlight color. So we're gonna use our same round brush. We'll maybe lower the size a little bit to like 5%. And I'm just gonna start and maybe just do the strawberries. So I'll add like a little bit of a highlight on the strawberries and kind of like a little section, something kind of like this. We'll do that like for each one, kind of coming from the top. So whatever's closest to the top, kind of follow that edge there. And we're not all the way on the edge, we're in a little bit from the edge, but yeah, a little highlight like that. Let's do a little bit on our leaves as well, just a little bit here and there. Nothing too crazy, just to add a little variation. Okay, let's go ahead and do some of our frosting. So kind of like on the top, on like the tops of this here, add a little bit. Kind of through these little ridges and stuff here, add a little bit there as well. Something like that. Let's do the other parts of our frosting, maybe like this corner here a little bit. Maybe some of these kind of top-ish edges, again, like a little bit in from the top edge, but towards the top of these shapes. We don't want to see it a ton, so I'm going pretty light. Okay. Then our sauce also. So same thing, we'll just kind of make some little kind of highlighty sections here throughout the sauce, just to make it look kind of like shiny or something. Okay, nothing too crazy there. And then that is it for our highlights. So we just did the frosting, the strawberries, and the sauce a little bit. Nothing on the cake. That is done. So lastly, we need a shadow underneath our plate and our little fun background. So for our plate shadow, let's go to our layer menu. Let's find our plate layer. Slide to the left and hit duplicate on it and grab the bottom one. Click on the bottom one and turn on alpha lock. Grab our 5th color on the bottom row. Back to our layer menu, click on this layer and click fill layer so it fills that whole layer in. Click the N and set it to multiply. And click on it again and turn off alpha lock. So now you should have it, no alpha lock is on, it's on multiply, and it's filled in with this darker color. Grab it with our arrow tool. We're going to be on uniform and we're just going to increase the size just a teeny tiny bit and then drag it down a little bit below our plate and center it with it. So you'll either see the yellow line or some blue lines trying to get you pretty centered there. Then we're going to blur it a little bit. So with our wand icon, Gaussian blur, we'll drag this up a little bit to maybe like 10%. Something like that. And now our background. So on our layer menu, let's add a new layer, drag it to the bottom of our layer menu here. So we're right above our background color. And we're going to use these last two kind of peachy colors on the top row. So we're going to start with a lighter one, 5th one in line. We're going to be on our round brush still. We're going to increase our size way up to like 70%. Opacity still at 100. And I'm just going to start kind of right in the top left corner here and go swoosh, 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 all the way down until we kind of go off the screen there. So I started kind of light and then pushed a little bit harder as I went. So that's our first color. Then we're going to just grab our next color, 6th one on the top row, and do the same thing, starting at that same point and kind of just going over it again, just so it's like a little bit different. Just kind of adds like another layer to it. So you can leave it as the one, or you can add the second one, whichever you prefer. I'm going to just redo the second one, start it a little bit lighter there. Something like that. So once you have that little piece added to the background, that completes our drawing today. So I hope that you had fun. I hope that you liked the way that yours turned out. I hope that you maybe learned something new. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on any future tutorials from me. And if you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it. So go ahead and post it there and then tag me so that I can check it out. And while you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching.